For 3 years, her daughter had not said a single word. Not mom, not hungry, not even a whisper. And then one afternoon at a random playground, a stranger with a hoodie and tired eyes changed everything. Claire was not a woman who cried in public. She was a CEO. She ran a company with over 200 employees. She made decisions that moved millions of dollars. She was sharp, composed, and always in control. But that day, sitting on a cold metal bench, watching her little girl stare at the ground while other kids laughed and screamed and played, she felt completely and totally helpless, because no amount of money, no amount of power, and no amount of love had been able to bring her daughter's voice back. This is the story of Maya, a little girl who stopped speaking at age 3, and the stranger who did in 20 minutes what doctors, therapists, and every specialist Claire could find had failed to do in 3 years. Maya had been a normal, happy, chatty little girl once. Claire would come home from long days at the office, and Maya would run to the door, arms wide open, talking about everything. The butterfly she saw outside, the funny face her babysitter made, the dream she had about purple elephants. She was loud and bright and full of life. Then Maya's father left. It wasn't sudden. It was slow, the kind of slow that makes it worse. Arguments behind closed doors, long silences at dinner. Then one morning, he was just gone. Maya was 3 years old. She didn't understand what happened. She just knew her dad was there one day and not the next. And within 2 weeks, Maya stopped talking completely. At first, Claire thought it was a phase. Kids go through phases. But days turned into weeks, weeks turned into months, and the silence stayed. Claire took Maya to their family doctor. The doctor referred them to a child psychologist. The psychologist referred them to a speech therapist. The speech therapist referred them to a developmental specialist. And every single one of them said the same thing in different ways. Maya was experiencing selective mutism, a real documented condition, where a child is physically able to speak but cannot bring themselves to do it, usually triggered by extreme anxiety or emotional trauma. There was no quick fix, no pill, no surgery, just slow, patient, consistent therapy and hope. Claire gave Maya everything. The best therapists in the city, art therapy, play therapy, a special school with trained staff. She read every book she could find. She watched every documentary. She joined online, groups for parents of selectively mute children, and stayed up. And here is the part that breaks you. Maya was not unhappy. She smiled. She laughed. She would grab Claire's hand and pull her toward things she wanted to show her. She communicated through pointing and expressions in the way she squeezed tight when she wanted a hug. She was still Maya. She was just quiet, like someone had turned her volume all the way down and lost the remote. That Saturday in October, Claire had taken Maya to a playground near their house. It was a cool afternoon, the kind where the air smells like leaves and you can almost feel winter coming. Maya sat on a swing but didn't really swing. She just let it move gently back and forth, watching the other kids from a safe distance. Claire sat on the bench nearby, going through emails on her phone, not because she wanted to, but because if she looked at Maya too long, she would start crying again. And she was so tired of crying. That's when a man sat down at the other end of the bench. He looked like he had been through something, not in a scary way, in a real way, like someone carrying a heavy bag they'd been carrying for too long. He had a little boy with him, maybe 5 or 6 years old, who ran straight to the monkey bars without looking back. The man smiled watching him, but the smile had some sadness in it. He noticed Maya on the swing. He didn't stare. He just glanced, the way a parent does when they're watching kids nearby. Then he looked back at his son. But after a minute, he did something that made Claire look up from her phone. He walked to the swing next to Maya, not in a rushed way, slowly, calmly, like he had all the time in the world. He sat down on the swing and just started swinging. Not high, just gentle. The same rhythm Maya was in. He didn't talk to her. He didn't look at her. He didn't wave or smile or try to be friendly. He just swung next to her. And Claire watched. After a few minutes, Maya glanced sideways at him. Just a quick look. The man didn't react. Just kept swinging gently, looking forward. Maya looked forward again. Then a minute later, she looked again. This time the man caught it. He didn't make a big deal. He just said very quietly, almost like talking to himself, "I like how the chain feels cold." Maya looked at her own chain, touched it with her fingers. The man nodded slowly like she had said something back, like it was a full conversation. Then he said, "My son thinks swings are for babies. I think swings are the best thing ever made." Maya looked toward the monkey bars where his son was hanging upside down. Something crossed her face, the beginning of a smile. The man shook his head slowly, like he was pretending to be disappointed. He's showing off again. He does that. And Maya, quietly, barely loud enough to hear, said, "He's upside down." 3 words. Claire's phone dropped from her hands. She heard it. She was sure she heard it, but she sat completely still because she was terrified that if she moved, if she breathed too loud, the moment would shatter. The man on the swing just nodded, completely calm, like it was the most normal thing in the world. "He is," he said. "That kid has no fear." And Maya said, "I have fear." Claire's hand went over her mouth. The man nodded again. "Me too," he said simply. "Fear's not a bad thing. It just means something matters to you." Maya thought about that for a second. Then she said, "Does your son have fear?" "Sometimes," the man said. "He's just better at hiding it than us." They sat there for a few more minutes, swinging slowly, having the most gentle, unhurried conversation Claire had ever heard. Short sentences, long pauses, no pressure, no expectation. Just two people on swings. When the man's son came running over to leave, the man got up from the swing. He nodded politely to Claire. Not dramatically, not like he knew what had just happened. Just a normal nod. And he left. Claire walked to Maya on the swing. Her hands were shaking. She crouched down in front of her daughter and looked at her face. Maya said, "Mama, that man is sad too." Claire pulled her daughter in and held her so tight. She didn't say anything. She couldn't. There were no words. Later, she would tell the story to Maya's therapist, who explained that sometimes children with selective mutism respond to low pressure, side-by-side interaction, where there is no eye contact, no expectation, and no performance. No one asking them to speak, no one watching and hoping, just someone being present without needing anything in return. The stranger hadn't known any of that. He wasn't a therapist. He wasn't using a technique. He was just a tired dad at a playground who treated a quiet little girl like she was worth sitting next to. Maya did not suddenly become a chatterbox after that day. Healing doesn't work like that. But something unlocked, something loosened. The silence started having cracks in it. And slowly, over the following weeks, more words came through. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can give someone is not advice, not money, not even love in the way we usually show it. Sometimes it's just presence. No agenda, no pressure. Just showing up and sitting beside someone in their quiet. That tired stranger on a swing reminded a little girl that she was not invisible. And that was enough to give her her voice back. Watch the next video on your screen. You're going to want to see this one.